If you watched the 50 Cent Netflix documentary on Diddy and felt like something wasn't sitting right, you weren't imagining it. The series dropped like a cultural event. Social media exploded, timelines were flooded, and for a moment it felt like hip-hop's biggest reckoning had finally arrived. But almost immediately, another conversation started bubbling up beneath the hype. A lot of people were asking the same question. Who was missing? That's where Jaguar Wright comes in. And when Jaguar speaks, things get uncomfortable fast. Jaguar says the documentary didn't just tell a story, it controlled one. According to her, the film wasn't designed to expose everything, it was designed to expose just enough. Enough to satisfy the public, enough to break streaming records, but not enough to threaten the real power players behind the scenes. She doesn't call it a documentary. She calls it a mockumentary, and she says it mocks the audience by pretending to tell the full truth while quietly protecting certain names. To understand why she's so upset, you have to understand Jaguar's history. She's not a random commentator. She's been inside these rooms. She's been at the parties people whisper about. She's crossed paths with the same executives, artists, and gatekeepers who shaped hip-hop from the late 90s into the 2000s. For years, she's been warning that the industry runs on silence, loyalty, and fear. And every time she spoke up, she was dismissed as unstable, bitter, or chasing attention. Now suddenly, many of the things she's been saying for years are showing up in headlines. And instead of feeling vindicated, she feels erased. Jaguar says the most important voices were cut from the documentary entirely. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, someone who was there during some of the most infamous moments in bad boy history, was removed after disagreements over control and compensation. Jaguar herself says her footage was labeled too controversial for Netflix. Let that really sink in. Too controversial for a series about a man accused and convicted of serious crimes. If that doesn't raise questions, nothing will. And once you start noticing who's missing, it becomes impossible to unsee. Jay-Z, a name that's been connected to Diddy for decades through business, parties, and power circles, is barely mentioned. Then there's Clive Davis, 51% owner of Bad Boy Records, majority control, a man whose influence stretches across generations of music. And yet, in a 4-part series, he gets less than a minute of screen time. Jaguar says that's not an oversight, that's protection. According to her, the documentary carefully funnels all the blame onto one figure, creating what she calls an acceptable monster. Someone the industry is willing to sacrifice when they've become too much of a liability. We've seen this pattern before. R. Kelly became untouchable only after the industry had already squeezed everything it could out of him. Jaguar believes Diddy has reached that same point, not because the industry suddenly grew a conscience, but because control was slipping. One of the most chilling parts of the documentary, according to Jaguar, isn't what's said, but what's shown casually in the background. Diddy filming everything, recording federal agents, talking strategy with his lawyer about public perception before an arrest even happens. Conversations about media, about narratives, about how the public thinks. Jaguar believes that wasn't accidental footage. She believes it reveals how deeply image management is baked into these cases long before they ever reach a courtroom. And that's where things start to feel eerily familiar. Because we're living in a moment where documentaries don't just inform, they influence. We've seen it with true crime series, celebrity trials, and viral court cases where public opinion is shaped months or years before a verdict. Jaguar suggests this documentary may be doing the same thing, creating a storyline that feels complete while quietly guiding viewers towards certain conclusions. Then there's the footage that never aired. Jaguar claims there was material involving Justin Bieber and Diddy that was cut entirely. She says Bieber's early management tried to keep him away, sensing something wasn't right. Later decisions, she claims, opened doors that never should have been open. That footage, according to Jaguar, would have raised uncomfortable questions about who protected whom, who looked the other way, and how many people benefited from staying silent. If you've been paying attention to recent celebrity news, this idea of protection and silence keeps coming up. From resurfaced interviews to old clips suddenly going viral on TikTok, people are re-examining moments they ignored years ago. Old jokes don't sound funny anymore. Old interviews don't feel harmless anymore. The culture is in a phase of re-watching its own past and not liking what it sees. Now here's where Jaguar really flips the script. She doesn't believe 50 Cent made this documentary to expose the truth or defend victims. She believes he made it to reposition power. In her view, this isn't about justice, it's about business. Clearing rivals, reshaping the board, becoming the last man standing. She said openly that she's not angry with him, but she doesn't trust him. And what fuels that suspicion is something fans can't ignore. 50 Cent is famous for responding to everything. He's built a brand on pettiness, trolling, and public clapbacks. He's sued people for less. He's embarrassed people online for sport. But when it comes to Jaguar Wright, he's silent. No lawsuit, no Instagram posts, no jokes, nothing. And for someone who never misses a chance to respond, that silence feels loud. Jaguar believes Diddy is just the beginning. She said repeatedly that when one person falls,
it's like the most full of sin. I know no sin is greater, but like just was like, damn.
It's usually because someone bigger has already decided they're expendable. She believes Jay-Z is next, not because of one incident, but because of patterns she says she's watched repeat for decades. People get close, people get elevated, people get removed, and the same names stay standing. Whether you believe every claim or not, one thing is undeniable. Jaguar has been consistent. She's been saying these things long before it was profitable to say them. Long before documentaries, headlines, and viral threads made it safe to question the industry. And now that the conversation has shifted, it's harder to dismiss her outright. So maybe the real issue isn't whether this documentary was good or bad. Maybe the real issue is how much power goes into deciding which truths are allowed to surface and which ones stay buried. Because history shows us that the first version of any scandal is never the full story. It's the version people are comfortable hearing. If you're here for real conversations, deeper context, and the stories behind the stories in celebrity culture, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay tapped in. This isn't just about one documentary or one name. This is about how the industry really works, and we're only scratching the surface.